Three, two, one. We're now live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to Chattering with Nicholas events, and depending on where you are in the world, of course. And in a few moments, I'm going to be introducing Romain Basset, the director of Horsehead. But before I do, I just wanted to share a couple of things with you. First of all, there's a campaign which I'll be adding a link to in the YouTube and Google hangout afterwards, to the Let There Be Light campaign for the Lyric Theatre in Bridport. I was at the Lyric last year with a thing called Transcripts, and the amazing lady called Nikki McCretten, who basically mortgaged her house in order to be able to take over this theatre and keep it running as a live theatre, has set this up, and she's seeking £9,850 to replace all the windows, because at the moment all the windows are boarded up, so it's obviously very dark in the theatre, which is great in the evening and very atmospheric, but not great during the day when you're trying to rehearse. Anyway, there's a campaign for that. If you just like to check it out, she's an amazing lady, and it's a lovely space as well, and really a vital part of the Bridport community. Incidentally, Bridport, you might recognize parts of Bridport from the TV series Broadchurch, which was filmed down there. Cool. I also have to say a special thank you to a shop in Addiscombe called The Valet, which is a barber's shop. I'm feeling particularly well shaven today because I spent an hour in a barber's chair having a full facial, a hot towels, a shave, and discovering that my beard is like wires, apparently. He's saying it's really difficult to cut my beard because it's so strong. Never knew that before. And just to remind everyone that next week we're going to be doing the original versus remake of The Thing. So that's the 1950s version and the John Carpenter version. I'm going to be concentrating on that. It's based on a short story called Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, and there are 4 films that have been made from it based on that story, or inspired by that story, but we're just going to be looking at 2 of them. The details are in the usual place. Okay, so I'd just like to say before I introduce the gentleman, the reason why I introduced Romain onto the show was because I got an email from a gentleman called Thomas at Clive Barker's office saying, Nick, you've got to introduce Romain. He's done this amazing film called Horsehead. Clive's looking at it and really enjoying it. So you've got to get in touch with Romain, and because I just think he'll be a great guest. And Thomas was absolutely right. So Romain, please say hi to everybody.
Hi everybody. Yeah, I will try to be as you say, the best guest as I can be. Yeah, but first you have to know I'm French, so my English kind of broken. So in advance, I apologize for the hesitating English. You know.
I love it when French people who speak really good English say this. It's like, this is your second language, and you speak English really, really beautifully, Romain. So before we get into Horsehead, I just wanted to kind of wind back just to a couple of things. Now, in terms of Horsehead, let's find, where can people see Horsehead? How can they get hold of DVDs, etc.?
See Horsehead now. It has been released in a few different countries all over the world. Canada, there are Blu-rays and DVDs from Black Phone Distribution. They're really great. And the film has just been released in video in the US from Artsploitation Films. Blu-rays and DVD also, and you got also Sweden, Germany, not France yet. Maybe will be the last. And obviously the film is available on a lot of fucking torrent platforms. So please do not download the film illegally, please. If you can not, that would be great. Yeah. It's really a plague for the independent underground horror industry. The film, as soon as it has been released in Canada, the film was available on Popcorn Time. don't know if you know this platform. It's really famous, and it's like I was the only one among my friend group not to know this app. And actually, you get this really light and easy to handle application you download and install on your Mac or PC, and instantly you got access to every new movies that just been released in full HD. It's like magical, but it's fucking illegal. So yeah, you know what I mean.
It's I do know exactly what you mean, and I think it's been mentioned
You know
by.
what? Myself, I install myself the application, and I download my own movie, and the fact is it was like in better quality than the DVD itself. Then the video master was like, wow, this guy are really good at encoding stuffs. It was, yeah, it hurts a lot, you know, but that's a game.
It's a real big problem as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
We seem to
yeah.
have raised a generation of young people who believe that they're entitled to everything for free.
Yeah, yeah, and they're killing an industry. They're killing our passion, because if we want to make another one, to pay the crew, to pay, because we made loans, you know, to be able to get money to finance the movie, and we have to reimburse banks, and it will be very difficult because people choose to get the film like free. And it's like if you go to your baker and steal a baguette de pain, you know, in France for free, and it's stealing, you know. But yeah, apparently
it really is. It really is just theft, pure and simple, as far as I'm
exactly,
concerned.
yeah, exactly. But it's so easy to do, you know. It's like it's not the same sin, but it's a sin. It's stealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
no, absolutely. Okay, cool.
the film is
All right.
available on great Blu-rays on the US and Canadian distribution. So please just have a look.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it is interesting. I know we mentioned this when we were talking earlier. The
Yeah.
reason, what's the reason why you think it's so difficult to get distribution in France?
I think it's because the French genre industry in France is badly apprehended by the horror fan. You know, I mean, in France, the French people have this strange habit to dislike every French movie that is made, because they don't like their own shit. It's incredible. And yeah, and I mean, they prefer the American or English horror, and they don't really want to give a chance to a French director. I don't know why. And the other thing is because we shot in English, and we don't have a French version yet, so it's difficult, you know, to release a Blu-ray and DVD without the dubbed French version for people, you know. So it's not really helping us. And also this illegal downloading thing, I think the distributor don't want to take the risk, you know, because it costs a lot of money to make a Blu-ray, you know. And yeah, I think that they fear not to get their money back.
Yes, no, it's interesting. I think I'll be interested to hear what people okay, I'm just going to share with you very quickly a comment by Ray Pendleton, who I think is actually kind of summarized what the point I was going to make. In the era of Netflix and on-demand services on every device we have, there is absolutely no reason to steal movies. We get to watch a movie at home that is still in the theater for $5 more.
I perfectly agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think what I find really interesting is how much do you think in the future it will be just straight streaming services? I think one of the things that Apple Music, and it's interesting to see how Apple new music
Yeah.
thing goes, But if you, for a reasonable amount of money, not a huge, not a huge amount of money, a reasonable price, online legally, you can download high quality stuff. I think that is probably going to be one of the ways of dealing with torrent sites. I mean, there are always going to be people
totally
who.
agree. And you know what? Myself, I write a comment on the Keycast torrent platform, which is one of the most famous, And I was like, oh, please, if you like the movie, just send me $1, $1 on PayPal, just for me to be able to get a little bit of money, and it would change the world, and it would create an entirely new economy. Just $1 if you like the movie. If you didn't like it, okay, so I don't ask for anything, but just $1. And I mean, the fact is that the film has been downloaded maybe 10 or 20,000 times already, and maybe more. I stopped counting. But if, let's say, one on the two viewers liked the movie and sent me $1, I would get a lot of money to give people now.
It is extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, we're really not, I think $5 is a reasonable amount rather than $1. I think, because that's about £2 or £3 in the UK.
The British band Radiohead, don't know if you remember, maybe it was In Rainbows or their previous album, and it was like for free, for downloading, and people can give whatever they want, via PayPal or this kind of platform. And I remember I gave at the time I haven't a lot of money, and I gave €1 because I downloaded the album and it was great. Mm-hmm. And I was telling to myself, if everybody does the same thing, it could be a good economy, for them and for the music industry, because free is impossible. Free, I mean, when you work, you deserve something, even if it's very little, but at least €1, $1, just to watch and see the movie. I think it's pretty fair.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sorry, the reason I was slightly slow in responding to that one is that we've just had quite a few comments in support of what we're saying.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And I'm also a gentleman called Julien Delattre says,
I know Julien, friend of Facebook.
Yeah. Horsehead was awesome, Romain. Did you do research on Dream for writing the script?
Yeah, a lot. I read a lot about the dream's interpretation, but I was not really convinced. I think it was fascinating to learn to read about it, but it was not really. I think cinegenic. I don't know if you understand cinegenic. It was not really good for. Working on the interpretation to make images, to make the movie. So I prefer to look in the 18th century paintings, this kind of symbolism art references, more than the classical Freudian interpretation or Jungian psychophysiology. Was not really this kind of highly spiritual masturbating inside. You know what I mean? It was more a feeling about the heart itself, and that's why there is this Heinrich Füssli painting that I try to give life at the beginning of the movie. This kind of references, but to put it bluntly, I read about dreams, but it was not that fascinating for a movie. But
that's very interesting. Sorry to interrupt. I think, particularly as film is obviously such a visual medium, the inspiration of paintings is obviously very clear. And again, one of the things that Thomas, when I get the original email from Thomas and Clive's office, is saying, he's made this movie. It's just full of symbolism. Exactly. And I thought, great, that's really interesting, because I'm a big fan of symbolist paintings.
What I mean is not that I use existing symbolism. I try to make mine. when I used the imagery of the horse, which is a mare, a female horse, actually, it was like my vision of maternity, you know, the kind of the fact of the pain of being a mother, you know, that I try to oppose, to contrast to the she-wolf imagery, because the she-wolf, you know, the mother of Rome, you know, with Romulus and Remus, and it has a deep historical symbolism. So yeah, that was like my symbolist creation, to make an alter ego, a nemesis of the she-wolf, into the personification of the horse. That's what I tried to do. It was not about reading dreams interpretation and making them alive. Yeah, actually, I didn't want to use interpretation that already exists. I tried to make new one.
Okay, so that is very interesting. No, that's very interesting, and I've got a question in from Fernando, which I'll come to in a little bit, Fernando. But before we get into this, and because there was, and I do want to come back to and talk a lot more about symbolism and Horsehead in particular. But one of the things, do you remember the first horror film that you ever saw?
It's a pretty good question, because the first horror film I was confronted to, I didn't see it, but I think I hear it, because the fact is I watched in a way a lot of horror film when my mother was pregnant of me. She was like a huge fan of horror films, so I was confronted to horror films even being born myself. So I don't remember this movies, but I know my mother kept telling me, "Oh, you know, Romain, if you like horror movies, it's because when I was pregnant of you, I kept watching the most weirdest horror film I can." So yeah, I get this gift from my mother.
Okay, and so apart from those, is there anything that you particularly remember?
Later, I was this like huge crush on Halloween. Maybe the film I've seen the most time. I think this John Carpenter. I was a huge fan of the guy. I think he's the king of horror, and I think I've watched Halloween 100 times, you know, through the year. It's one of the movies, you know, I watch every year. It's like tradition. It's a ritual.
It's very when I was in Los Angeles last year. I was in Los Angeles for Halloween last year, and I can't remember which channel, but every day they were showing every movie.
Oh yeah,
one after the other for about 5 days, 4 or 5 days over the whole weekend. Every time you learned, you got
such a great idea.
You just got everything. It kind of inspired me to get the whole box set, which I haven't had a chance to sit down and read to watch through. But yeah, it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah,
I
think it's maybe one of the greatest achievements in creating terror, you know, tension and horror in film. And strangely enough, when you look closely to the shots, you will notice that there is absolutely no close-up in Halloween. It's only medium or wide angle. You know, it's no close-up at all. And I remarked this directing choice maybe after 50 or 60 views, so it's not very evident, you know, when you first watch the movie. But if you watch it again, just look closer, pay attention, and you will see there are absolutely no close-up in 80 minutes, and it's crazy.
That is absolutely fascinating. Really, I mean, that is really, because I'm been, you know, looking at directing movies and so on, and doing storyboards for stuff which is, you know, can't talk about yet, because basically it's still in development. There's no guarantee any of this stuff is going to appear. But and I have a wonderful app on the iPad called Shot Pro, where you can literally animate scenes.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's brilliant. It's
Yeah,
really, really useful. I spent a lot of time with that just recently,
a
and
great toy.
it is a great toy. But it's also a really useful tool as well,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
really
For
can't,
kids, it's fantastic. Yeah.
because it literally, you can actually set up the depth of field and the focus, and it
Yeah.
tells you exactly how much zoom you're using and what distance and what sort of lens you've got on the camera to get the the effect that you
You
want.
can anticipate the look of your movie before shooting, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
you,
yeah. That is very interesting. I realized when I'd actually done, I worked on one of my short scripts, and I thought, I kind of don't want to go in for a close up here. I like mid shots because it allows me to still keep other stuff going on
mm,
as well, and also allows me to observe without getting which you don't need to. It kind of is, to me, it's a more natural, and that's really fascinating. I had no idea about that, and I'm now going to sit down and watch Halloween.
yeah.
Um,
You will talk later. Oh no, you were right. There are really no close-up in Halloween. And what is really strange is that in my first film, Horsehead, there was this fucking shitload of close-ups. It's incredible. And
but that's obviously because
I don't know why. I don't know why I used all this close-up, because I was, in fact, in love with the beauty of the actress in a way, I think. And but to my discharge, what I can say that when you light a close-up, it's really cheaper than lighting. You know, this John Carpenterish wide shots. You know, in the city, it costs you a lot of money. You know, this wide angle in scope, whereas just like 2 centimeter, you know, on your wrists is really easier to make. So I think this is a reason why nowadays directors love close-ups, because it's really cheaper.
interesting, very,
Yeah,
very interesting.
for one of my favorite shots in Horsehead, when the girl is crossing the river, you know, we got to rent a projector. I don't know if the word in English is projector. The big light, you know, it's 18 kilowatts. 18.
Okay, it's not projector so much.
What's the name?
Krieg light. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I know what you mean. The big.
The big light that, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say light. Okay.
Yes, light. We'll stick with light. Yeah, big light. Yeah.
This 18 kilowatts light was larger than me, and my two arms was maybe 2 meter long. It's huge, and it's very.
And exactly the thing. It's a spotlight. We call them spotlights because they were used during the. It's the sort of thing that you used during the war to light the planes in the skies.
Oh yeah. Like in Batman, when you want to call.
In Batman, yes. Yeah.
This stuff. Okay. And so we need to recreate the moonlight, you know, just for one night, and we got to rent it from Paris, to rent a truck to get the spotlight on location, and we got only one night because it was so expensive. We couldn't afford to get the spotlight for two more hours would have been too much for us, you know. So it was like really tic tac when we were shooting, and so it was just to get this one scope shot of the girl crossing the river, and we work a full night with this spotlight coming from Paris, because we shot in Argenton-sur-Creuse, and it's a 3 hours ride from Paris. So. Okay. So wide angle shots are really more expensive.
That is something very useful to know, and a very, very good. I've learned two very, very good tips today. Watch Halloween to see if you can spot the any close-ups, and I completely believe you. There won't be any, but I'm going to have to sit down and do it. But also, close-ups are an awful lot cheaper than mid-shot. That's very interesting.
That's the story of the making of Horsehead. You know, realizing that the close-ups are really cheaper. So,
You make a lot of close-ups, and I can please. Well, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, we've had a lot of comments come in, and I will share them, folks. But I'm having too much fun talking to her. I am not ignoring them. I will share some of your questions in a few moments. What writer, actor, or director do you regard as your greatest influence?
Right, John Carpenter, without a doubt. I get a lot of inspiration, as I said, like Clive Barker, obviously. But I think what's really striking with John Carpenter, that according to me, each of his work, of his film, are masterpieces for me. Maybe not the last two, but they're pretty decent movies, I think. But from I don't know very well Dark Star, his first effort when he was a student. But from Assault on Precinct 13, to maybe Ghost of Mars. I really like Ghost of Mars. It's only masterpieces. The genre is always different. He never repeated it himself. You have the thing, as you will talk about next week. It's, I think, the best remake ever made. Christine, for me, the most romantic movie and the most fascinating love story I've ever seen. I cried watching Christine. Yeah, I love Asso. I love New York '97. It's, yeah, for me, John Carpenter is the king. It's no doubt.
It's interesting. Yeah, he's one of those directors, as you say. He does different films.
Yeah, different types of film, but always they are so. It's this kind of director that go really at the end of his ideas. When you want to make like a cartoonish comic film, it's Jack Burton, and it works perfectly. When you want to make you when you want to create a new genre, create a slasher film with Halloween. This guy I think is a genius, but a genius in simplicity. It's like is really simple and really efficient. It's not. You know what I mean? It's not too much. It's minimalism cinema, but going to the perfect efficiency, and that's why I really appreciate. Like it's like his music. His music is really simple but very efficient.
Oh yeah, incredibly effective.
And effective. Yeah, and I think that's what is the John Carpenter's touch. It's his simplicity and his effectiveness, and I think this is the most difficult thing to achieve in cinema, is to be good remaining simple, and this is what I would love to do. And obviously Horsehead is not simple at all.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but but
I knew it. And I want you to, maybe to keep things more minimalistic and more effective for the next one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For the next one, and we'll talk a little bit about what you're going to cover. We've had a lot of interesting comments made. This one is, I just wanted to confirm something. I think we're going back to distribution again. I'm looking forward to watch Horsehead on iTunes. Is Horsehead on iTunes as part of the distribution?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. It has been released on iTunes, but the fact is, I don't know if iTunes is like global or just in each country, because it is released on iTunes in Canada. I'm
right.
Sure.
And I think Steve is actually up in Canada, so I think we're okay with that. Forgive me if I got this wrong, Steve, but I think Steve's up in Canada.
Yeah, because he said that he has been looking for, but he didn't tell us if he find it or no.
Yeah.
We don't know the answer.
No. If someone would like to check,
did you find the film in the end? Please tell us.
Yeah. Tell us exactly where it is. Now, Fernando's going to be coming on later on to ask some questions live, but I'm going to see if I'm just going to share one of Fernando's questions at the moment. Was the device that Lili uses a disarmed metronome? When he says disarmed metronome, I think what he means is a metronome without its cover on, and so on. It looked to me like the internal workings of a metronome. Is that right?
Yes and no. Actually, it's a brand new creation. It's not an existing metronome that we, try
Took the cover off.
to uncover. No, it's not that at all. The set decorator that creates this unique metronome starts from like the skeleton of a metronome and adds a lot of new engineering reels and a lot of the idea was like a steampunk metronome, this kind of science fiction or something that couldn't exist, because this is something I try to inject in the movie, that even in the reality, when she's looking at the metronome, for instance, we could be in a dream at this stage. So there are a few symbols, a few like trails, I would say, about the aneurysm, the potential aneurysm of the setting. And I think when Lily is looking at the metronome, it's I would say that it's a suggestion for the viewer that we are not in the reality, because for me the real world stops. So I will spoil. Can I spoil?
I think as long as we tell people that there are spoilers during this conversation, we probably should have said this at the very beginning of the show, but that's my bad. That's not your bad. We'll assume that there are spoilers in this, folks. I will put there are spoilers when I put the text up.
Okay, it's small one. It's not really a spoiler about the end of the intrigue or the plot. But according to me, the film can be seen that it's reality, because as you may know, it's about dreams versus reality and a quest in the young girl nightmares. But for me, the actual reality stops at the end of the train sequence when she falls asleep in the train, which means after 5 minutes of the movie. And
right. Yeah. I didn't get that necessarily. That's really interesting to know.
It's director vision, and I really like to think that when she arrived at her parents' house, she's already dreaming. I mean, she's still in the train, and that's why if you pay attention and you hear closely to the sound effects of the movie, you will notice that there are a train passing during the whole movie, as if the girl were still in the train.
I will have to watch it again.
Yeah.
To see if I pick that up. That is absolutely fascinating. This is absolutely brilliant. Okay,
tell me if you hear, if you listen to the train, if it's hearable. But we try to make it significant, but not too much. To be for the people to be able to ask themselves, did I just hear the train? Or no, you know what I mean?
It's interesting. Well, that's something for our viewers to care about and feed. After
that's the thing I love to say about Horsehead, that the film can bear multiple viewing, and I'm not saying it because I'm the director. I love people watching my movie. No, it's not at all. But there is a lot of Easter eggs, in the film. And if you watch it closely, different times, paying attention to different levels in the backgrounds or in the soundtrack, I think you will be rewarding for you, and you will find new things at each viewing. I promise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to show you with a couple of things that have come in. It is on Canada iTunes. That's where Steve found it.
Yeah, it is.
It's there.
Cool.
It's there.
And I know it's also, if I can make a bit of self-promotion, it's also on a platform called Voodoo.
Voodoo.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So wait.
You're going to share. Okay, you're going to share it with me. I may not be able to see it because I've got but I'll be able to pick it up later. I was going to say, make sure you share the links and I will make sure they go onto YouTube, and Google will get those up later on during
I don't know, how can I share maybe this?
Don't worry at the moment.
Okay.
Just drop it into an email, and I will make sure.
I will shoot you an email. Yeah.
Yeah, shoot me an email, and I'll make sure all the links, including, I was going to say the distribution companies you mentioned as well.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, let's do that.
I will make sure they're on the YouTube video afterwards, and they're on Google as well. Okay, let me just share these two things. This is from Ray again. As someone who experiences a nightmare world often in my own dreams, comparable to your film, this was a very moving story, both visually and emotionally.
Thanks a lot.
And this is from Paul Yan, and this is actually a question I thought was very interesting. Horsehead has a lot of visuals, Argento colors, backlighting, a lot of symbolism. Do you feel the interpretation in some of the symbols could be taken the wrong way due to cultural differences?
Oh, yeah, that's super interesting question. Actually, I never asked me this in this way, but yeah, it's super interesting. Yeah. I think obviously cultural differences and what you got in your past, in your history, in your what you learn at school, your experience with your own dreams, with your own dream world, with your own family, because it's a family film. Yeah, for sure, it will induce different way of getting the film. Yeah, for sure. And it's really interesting that you what the name of the person?
Paul.
Well, yeah, Paul, you're absolutely right. And it's very interesting that you pointed out, because I didn't. Actually, I didn't. And yeah, I think the film, and it explains, Paul, you're a great guy, because it explains a lot how the film is perceived, is welcome in the different countries I went, in different festivals, and I think it can explain that it's because of the cultural instinct of the audience. Yeah, and that's why maybe it's got a lot of support in the Latin America, and maybe it's more cold welcome in France, because it's not the same culture and not the same references. And yeah, I think it really depends on the cultural side of your because I think cultural aspects will affect your sensibility and sensitivity, and the film is all about that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a good point.
It's a very interesting question, and on that note, I happen to know that you're going to South Korea. Is that right?
Yeah, in 3 days. I'm leaving Wednesday.
And this is to do a festival.
Yeah, it's just near Seoul. It's called the Pifan. It's very famous in South Korea. It's one of the biggest fantastic film festival in Korea. I'm super proud, because it's my first time in Asia. Never been in Asia my whole life, so it's my first time in Asia, my first time in Korea, in South Korea. And I will go there with my baby, with my movie under my arms, my arms. So it's a great pleasure, to travel and discover a new country and a new audience. So I hope the cultural side will enable them to like Horsehead. We will see. And
we're going to stay in touch anyway. When you come back, you've got to let me know how it all went.
I will tell you how it went. Yeah.
No, we'll catch up when you get back. Julien mentions, by the way, voodoo.com, VUDU.com.
Yeah,
that's where he got it. Yeah, he got it there. Cool. All right. So we spoke about cast and Lily, the actress who plays Lily, and how did you get this cast? Because you've got some amazing people in that cast.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Actually, the cast. Do you say cast or casting in English? When you
casting, the cast or the casting. The cast is the group of people. The casting is the process of finding the group of people.
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you for the English lesson. So the cast, yeah, it's one of the things I'm the most proud of in Horsehead. You know, there are the visuals. The only the sole fact of finishing the movie, it's a lot of pride to me, and the cast. Yeah, and first is the lead actress is Lily Fleur, and strangely enough, I discovered Lily in a show, in a French show. It was a comedy show, and she was really, you know, fresh, like very natural and very funny. And I really wanted to meet that girl, even if I had no idea that she would like the genre, to play in a horror film. But I really appreciate her instinct, and the fact that she was not like actor studio acting. It was really natural, and so I made the casting with maybe 30 different girls, and for me it was obvious she was the one. I mean, there was no second guess. What the after 10 seconds of the audition, when she played the small parts that I was written for Horsehead, for the Horsehead scenes, it was obvious for me. So there was no choice. I mean, it was obvious. It was my instinct tells me she was the good one.
Mm. And who played the parents?
The parents, I think every horror fan knows Catriona McCall. You know, she's Lucio Fulci's muse. She played in three of the most notorious Lucio Fulci's film, the Beyond, you know, City of the Living Dead, and The House by the Cemetery. And actually, with Catriona, we're great friend for 6 or 7 years. And I met her back in the days as a pure fan. I was like fascinated by her beauty and her standing in front of me, because I loved Lucio Fulci's movies, obviously, and we just simply became friends. And I was telling to myself, like, discreetly, at the time I didn't tell her that I was promising myself to make a movie with her someday, you know. But I didn't know it would be a feature film. Maybe it could have been a short, I don't know. And yeah, 7 years later, she is one of the leading actress in Horsehead. So I did it.
It's amazing, and she does an amazing job as well. And it's there is the scene between her and her daughter, and the sexuality in that is absolutely extraordinary. How did you feel directing that scene?
You know, it's like when you were a little boy and you know you're making a trick. You know, it's like it's like really excited. Because I mean, when you're directing a horror movie on set, it's always fun, even if it's deals with incest or is a super gory scene. It's always fun. I mean, it was more difficult to write the scene. Actually, it's when you get the idea and you try to make something of it, because it's not like, oh yeah, we will shoot a scene with a mother. French kissing daughter, because it will move the audience. It was not about it. It was really symbolical when I wrote this scene, because the incest scene appears at a moment when the young girl is like thinking of her whole day. You know, she's falling asleep and she's thinking of like digesting, you know, the whole day, and she's thinking about the super cold welcoming of a mother. And that, you know, when you were a child and you like to be welcomed warmly by your parents. And in Horsehead, the first kiss on the cheek by Jessica's mother is like really cold. You feel absolutely no love in it. And so in a nightmare, it's like she distorts everything, and she sees like what could have been a kiss of love. and so there is incest, but it's because a twisted mind is creating an alternate version of the reality. So it's I mean it's not free, it's not just to move the audience. There is some theme, some thematics that are behind this vision. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, I thought that was very interesting. It does remind me about filming Hellraiser. It was just, yeah, I mean, this part, in some ways, you're dealing with such difficult things. You're surrounded by blood, in Hellraiser particularly. We were surrounded by blood and gore and mannequins of dead people and emaciated dead people and victims and so on. And it's, you've got to keep a sense of humor about it. Whilst you're actually doing I could not imagine what it would be like to work on a set of a horror movie that wasn't happy, because that would just be
totally agree.
Harrowing. That would just be harrowing, to actually work on.
I think it's impossible, because people making horror movies, and maybe the people that are looking on like through another perception, they may think that horror movie makers are crazy people, but they're not. They're like the kindest persons in the world. When you're making horror movies, because you love life, you love to have fun, and I think a set of a horror movie is always fun. For me, it's even it's very dark, very gory, and very violent, you would have fun on the set for sure.
No, absolutely, because it would just be hell otherwise. Okay, so we're getting to that point in the show where I'm going to invite people to, I know about Fernando.
I know,
and he'll be joining us live in a few months. If anybody else would like to come on live and ask questions to Romain, and you're set up with video, as you can see me with headset and camera and so on, and we will try and deal with any technical issues that come up once you come on board. Please post your comments now. And I will invite Fernando in a few moments. Before I get you on board, Fernando, there are just some quick fire questions I want to shoot at Romain whilst people are actually posting the comments telling me that they want to come on board. Okay, so Romain, when you're writing films, what writing software do you use? Or do you use pen and paper to write your movies?
Everything I can find. It could be, notes from the Apple. It could be Word from Windows. Could be the pen and paper. Everything. No particular software. Because I think when you write, I tried sometime, with Final Draft, but it was really boring for me. To respect this kind of, because it's really like there are rules, the margin, the spacement, fuck it.
It's very, I've been looking at this a lot recently, and I just come across a thing called Fountain. Fountain, yeah. It's actually not a software as such. It's just a method. You'll find lots of different applications that use it, and basically it's plain text, but it'll translate it into film script format. It's very easy to use. It's fountain.io. Have a look at that.
We'll give it a shot.
Have a look at it. I'm using something called Slugline at the moment. It's very interesting because you can combine notes and bits of dialogue and hide things and make it's quite an interesting way of working. When you edited the film, how did the editing of the film take place? Did you do that yourself, or did you work with an editor? Or
with a I would say my editor, because we're like a family. It's like a brother to me, and we edited like all my film, even my shorts since 6 or 7 years. So it's my faithful editor.
Faithful editor. Yeah.
And we use the Adobe, Adobe Suite,
the suite. Yeah, the Adobe Suite.
Adobe Suite Creative Cloud, with the latest Premiere software, and it was really, really great. I mean, back in the days, it was like everybody was using Final Cut, and I think now Final Cut is not that good, and using the Adobe Suite is much better. And we edited on a Rocket computer, was really, really fast, and we edited in 5 or 4K. You know, in a native. There was no transcoding using this suite, and it was really efficient, really effective.
Cool. Absolutely. That's very interesting. Yeah, and I hear lots about. I know some people who come recently about Final Cut Pro X, saying they work with it fine, but anybody who's been using previous versions of it is just saying it's destroyed it. Why Apple have blown themselves in the foot like that is completely beyond me.
I agree. And the Adobe Suite is working perfectly. So why looking other ways? I think this suite is super.
I think because it's so expensive, and the fact that they.
I think
I don't know what it's like over there, but it's the fact that you have to pay an annual fee rather than being able to buy it outright and get free upgrades. You have to buy constantly.
Adobe Suite, we at first we pay monthly. You know, it was like 50 euros to get access to every softwares. To assistance, so I think 50 euros for a month for, I mean, professional using of editing was kind of okay. And what was good with Adobe, that at some point they became partner, and they gave us the suite for free.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. Well, and that's
thank you, Adobe.
Thank you. Do you have a favorite? Did you train in filmmaking?
What do you mean?
Did you go to film school?
No, my training was short film. I think when you make shorts, it's the only purpose is training for feature. I don't believe that there is a real interest in making a shorts as the movie by itself. I think I'm not a painstaking.
Oops, hold on.
Hi.
Fernando's just joined us, and I'm just muting him for a moment. I'll come back to you in just a few moments. Carry on.
Okay. And I think for me, doing shorts was my training to be able to build an emotion, to tell a story, you know, through images, to make a practical effect work. So that's why I tried with each of my shorts, like Projection. The first one was like super gory. I worked with David Scherer, a great French makeup artist, and we tried to make like the goriest effects works with a very tiny budget. So it was like my first training, make SFX works. After I tried emotion with a short called Rémi. It's about a grandfather and his grandson. It's a ghost story. Sorry, I spoiled it at the end, but
it's fine. It'll come out on a DVD collection as DVD extras, no doubt, one day. Blu-ray extras by then, I would imagine. Okay, yeah. So, and do you have a particular book on filmmaking that you would recommend?
I got plenty of them. I love the book. I don't want to spell it wrong. I think it's the Francis Ford Coppola editor. I think is Walter Murch. I think the name, and it's
called In the Blink of an Eye.
That's it. Yeah, yes. Yeah. You know it.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah,
it's like. A lot of lessons in editing, but not only in filmmaking, in the film industry, in the way to tell a story through images. It helps you to take decisions. It's wow. It's really the book I would recommend now. Yeah,
Yeah.
in blink of
Yeah,
an eye.
I was reading it recently, and again, I think that you can find some interesting
Like it?
lectures he's given online as well on YouTube. If you just Google Walter Murch,
Yeah,
Murch,
that's it.
can,
Yeah. Well,
there's
Walter
a,
Murch. Yeah.
yeah,
Super
there's
interesting character. Yeah.
yeah, and okay. So the last quick before I invite Fernando first and then Paul, do you say action to get a scene going?
Oh yeah. I love it.
It's really interesting. I was listening to Clint Eastwood
Yeah.
saying, "Why do you do that? Why do people say action? Because all it does is make the actors go." And he says, when you're ready, quietly, when you're ready. And I'm interested to know. I've not met a director who says anything but action, but I think it's very
I think
interesting.
it's also because actors, they love to get the signal. When you got the signal, it's okay. Because what I've noticed with really experienced actors like Lily Fleur, you wouldn't say so, but she is acting since 20 years. She began when she was 5. You know, just
Uh-huh.
it's like a life is 50% reality and 50% her characters, and she's really talented, and so it's very easy for to get back into her character. I mean, she can go to smoke a cigarette, to during a pose, and
Mm,
when you say action, like instantly she get back into her character. So I think it's
right.
like the signal for actors, and you have to say it. And it's also very important for the rest of the team to know when it's rolling and when it's really the big deal. Because when you say action, for me, the time is spending differently. The every second is golden. After the action.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
switch temporality because you're making cinema.
Yeah. Okay.
That's important for
Cool.
me.
All right, so I'd like to. Paul's back with us. I'm going to come to you in a few moments, if I may, Paul, because Fernando has been waiting very patiently. Fernando, would you like to unmute yourself, please? I've muted you, but I can't unmute you.
Yeah.
There you are. Hi, Fernando.
Can you hear me, Nico?
We can hear
Hi,
you.
Fernando. Nice to meet you.
Romain. Same here. Bonjour.
You speak French.
Yeah, I understand it, but I can't speak it quite clearly. But
Okay, let's stick to English.
yeah. But anyways, I have tons of questions, like I said to Nico yesterday, but I will try to resume all of this in one single thing. I mean, you're really into photography, actually.
You're right.
Like, you have a great eye for every single thing. Like, for example, in Horsehead. I don't want to spoil anything, but
I think it's
like,
fine. We announce it that there will be spoilers.
but for example, in the I don't want to go to the end of the movie, but it's like being reborn or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. For me,
When
it's so this is the biggest spoiler you could imagine. So yeah, we're getting the end of the story. So if
yeah,
you haven't seen Horsehead yet, just
Okay. Big
yeah,
spoilers. Big spoilers.
big spoilers, huge. So yeah, for me, at the end of the movie, is a rebirth, but it's also like a fusion
yeah,
between two sisters, the Jessica and Lucy, her dead sister, and it's like she's at last finding back the dark half, like in the Stephen King's book, the dark half she has always been missing. At last she find her sister, dead sister, back, and it was like a huge pieces of the puzzle that that was missing, and so they are embracing, they are fusioning, and so it's like a new character. It's not Jessica's rebirth in the end, but it's more a newborn. It's Jessica plus Lucy. That's why you get this dilution, in the eye, and yeah, you get it.
Exactly. And for example, what about the grandfather?
Yeah.
I missed the point. I mean, he was a sadistic motherfucker, to say so. Sorry, Nico, about that. But what was he into satanic rites with his daughter, meaning the mother of Lily, in the movie, or why she was so rejected?
For me, the grandfather is like, it's Jessica's creation. That's why it got this strange voice. It's because he has been built in Jessica's dreamscape, in Jessica's mind, from the only pieces or memory, kind of taken from the past. It's like the grandfather is 7-year-old Jessica's creation, because it's been a while since Jessica has not met with the grandfather, and what you see is in fact only what she can remember. So it's a strange voice that it was like this, as you say, a motherfucking bastard about religion, and so her adult mind is creating like this twisted version of the memory of her when she was 5 or 6 years old. It's a childish vision of a character. That was what I was really enthusiastic about. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Paul's been very patiently trying to get on. He's just muted himself, I think. Paul, do you want to try asking your question? If not, I think I know what question you're trying to ask.
Did I answer correctly to Fernando? Is it okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. That's good.
Thank you.
Paul, do you want to try unmuting yourself? I see. He's staring at the screen. At the top of the screen, I think you've got the microphone crossed. Ah, Paul. Hi, Paul. Can you hear us? Hi, Paul.
I think you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. Is this correct?
I can hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you, Paul. Do you want to ask your
I
question?
learned lip reading a long time ago, so I can barely read Nicholas's lips. So first of all, allow me to thank Monsieur Basset for joining us. It is a great honor, a great pleasure, and
thank you, Paul,
for taking your time out to be with us. Nicholas, Craig, again, thank you for hosting. It's always wonderful to have you guys doing this, even though despite all the technical difficulties we've been having, or at least on my side anyway, I'm having these kinds of issues. Thank you for asking or answering the question before about the symbolism. I was the one who asked that about different cultures and how each culture may view a certain symbol or certain imagery
you're right.
And thank you for answering that. My next thing I'm wondering now is that your film is, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, waiting for it to come legally to the United States. I haven't seen it online yet or anything. I can do it legally yet, so I'm waiting for that.
Thanks.
But I think your theme is something more of a psychological thriller, and I want to know is that what do you feel like for your next projects? Do you tend to go towards a real-life horror of man-made psychological type thrillers, or do you like the supernatural, the science fiction, the ghosts of the paranormal? Which is your preferred genre when dealing with horror?
I don't have any preference. Actually, every kind of horror that I am sensible to interests me. It's really about what's in my veins, what's in my blood, what is in my belly, what's in my heart. It's not about the precise genre. It could be supernatural, presently I'm working on I don't want to give you too much because I'm really superstitious, but I'm gathering ideas about Aleister Crowley's story. Don't know if you know that guy, as like a legend of the occult, and he tried to bring like fallen angel on Earth. A really interesting person.
Aleister Crowley, the great beast.
You know Aleister Crowley?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, yes. Read a lot about Aleister Crowley, a fascinating,
We will have
rather
to
bald
chat together,
guy.
Nicholas, later. Yeah.
Sorry, Roman, carry on.
And so yeah, I get really this kind of excitement about supernatural, but I also love the more real life horror. But I think when horror is at stake, it couldn't be only reality, you know. Maybe I can ask you, Paul, what are you what do you see when you're talking about reality horror? What do you have in mind?
I don't know if Paul can hear us.
Paul, do you
Oh,
hear?
no, unfortunately, I cannot hear any of that. My sound is still off, that's come. I was staring so much at Monsieur Basset's mouth because I was trying to read his lips. I took some ASL, so I can do a little bit of lip reading. That's what I've been trying to do. This staring so much at his mouth, trying to do all the lip reading and stuff like that from what I can get.
You can't hear me, Paul. You can't hear me.
No, Paul
So,
can't. Paul
you're-
can't hear us, unfortunately.
This is
an answer.
supernatural.
I think I may
Okay.
have to do something on my end technical, but please go on with the Q&A. I sure there are a bunch of other people who have a lot of questions they want to ask.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well,
So that's
we're going.
on my end.
I've got another question in from Julian. Would you make a sequel? I can't speak. Would you make a sequel to Horsehead?
Oh, it's it's a good question. A sequel, I don't know, but for sure, I would love to go further with the title character, you know, about the Horsehead, because there was a lot of script pages that we couldn't shot because of our tiny budget, you know. But the origin of the boogeyman could be interesting to go deeper in it, you know, to write about it. I got already a few ideas, but I think it would be a more head-on movie, more horrific movie, and maybe less psychological, because I've already done the psychological part, but maybe more, you know, classical, old school, really dark horror movie with a Horsehead boogeyman. Yeah, I would love to do it.
Okay. That's a very good question. Fernando, did you have another question you'd like to ask?
Yeah. Well, it's not actually a question again, but yeah. Can you hear me, Nico? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you fine, Fernando.
With Horsehead again. So you actually answered me all of this. You actually paint too, do you, Roman?
What?
Do you actually paint too?
Yeah.
I see the canvas right behind you. And in questions of how did you begin to see like the world in your way making movies or trying to make movies? If you couldn't afford a big ass camera to say so, how did you get so much nature into Horsehead? Like you have the wall, you have the Horsehead. It's a horse actually. What you have actually two. I love the wolf scene. I love all the nature that scenes.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Maybe the most difficult scene to shot, the wolf scene.
yeah.
Yeah, it may look like, you know, like delicate poetry in the movie, but it was really complicated to shoot these scenes because the wolf they're really do what they want to do when they want to do. So they're not great actors, the wolf.
And I think what Fernando was asking also as well is, you seem to bring in an awful lot of nature into your films, into Horsehead in particular. I've seen some other of your short films. Is that, why is that?
Say it again, please.
Sorry, you bring in an awful lot of nature,
nature,
landscape, and animals, and so on. Where do you think that springs from? Is that just something you've always been interested in, as far as?
I always loved the horse and wolf form. You know, their inherent beauty. You know, I'm fascinating with wolf's eyes since I'm a kid. You know, at someday my eyes crossed the eyes of a wolf at a zoo or at a park, and it was like, wow, it was one of the greatest sensation of my whole life. You know, my eyes crossing the look of this animal, and it was, I think I got this connection with wolves. Maybe I was 10 or so, and since that day, and the same at a different level with horses. And I know when you do independent cinema, it's always difficult to shoot with animals and with trainers because it costs a lot of money, and it really slows the shooting because, as I say, the animals, they do what they want to do and when they want to do, and so it's difficult. But I mean, when you make your first film, it's maybe the most egoist act you could do in your life. You know, it's a first film. It's a scream of egoism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's something, Henry. It's about writing. It's any kind of creative activity, painting. It's something to do with ego, because you're saying, this is what I think. This is the story I want to tell.
And I think when it's your first pictures, drawing, or especially when you're making a feature and it's your first feature, it's a pure scream of selfishness. And so it goes without saying I will get wolves on my first film, you know. And
listen, I completely agree with you about wolves. I think they are the most fascinating creatures. For years when I was a teenager, I never got close enough to a wolf to look them in the eyes, but I remember seeing them up in Scotland on a holiday, and then I remember bringing back a sweatshirt with a wolf on the front, which was this is my early 20s. I love wolves. They're just such magnificent creatures.
Obsessed with their elegance and their, super independent attitude, and I mean, they're really close to dogs. And I love dogs, but it's so fascinating to witness the power of evolution, and the dogs that is coming from the wolf and their difference in attitude. And I don't know if I will be able to explain it in English, but one thing was very striking for me during shooting when our trainer told us that it's impossible to domesticate a wolf as you do with a dog. When you have a dog, you domesticate very easily. The dog he is obedient. It's faithful. It's like a relationship of a superiority for the human, towards the dog, and it's absolutely impossible to do the same with wolf. Only what you can do is to impregnate. It's the word they use. Does it exist in English? Yeah, in French.
Yes, I think I know. There may be a slightly better English word, but off the top of my head, I can't think. But impregnate the behavior. Impregnate.
It means that the wolf will tolerate the human presence.
Yes.
And I find this like very poetical when you think about it. That you can domesticate dog, and because evolution did its own way, but you can't domesticate a wolf, and the only thing you can make is to let it tolerate yourself. And I feel a lot of respect for wolves. And
Sorry to interrupt. I didn't. I love wolves, and I think the absolutely fascinating thing is that basically the story of wolves. Having watched the documentary last year, all about this subject. Basically, the reason we have dogs is because certain wolves decided it was easier to go around the back of human dwellings and eat the scraps. Rather than go out and hunt in packs and find the food for themselves.
Yeah.
They therefore developed a relationship with man, and the behaviors that allowed men to adjust with them and co-adjust, and then they learn behaviors like the hunting and being able to spot birds and retrieving food, etc. Those are that's why we have dogs.
Yeah.
And that's why you have different types of dogs and you have different breeds. But every single dog is from a wolf. At its in its ancestry, it's a wolf. There is Canis canis.
You're right. It's very different type of animals in the end.
Yeah.
They're super close, but so different.
Oh yeah. No, we have a dog. We have a dog here. He every so often he can mind you having. If you go anywhere close to food, then he becomes pure wolf. And I'm going to wrap this. This has been an hour and a quarter, and it's been tremendous fun. And I know that we
super friends.
Absolutely. And one of our regular watchers, Don, has just Fernando has just said actually dogs bark because they try to communicate with us, and I couldn't quite read the rest of that. But sorry, I was just going to say, Don, one of our regular viewers, has just woken up, and he just said hearing Roman get excited about Crowley was awesome. I have the book of the law, Liber Alvailegos, and it's a hell of a read. I can't wait to see what you do with it.
What's the name of the book?
Yeah. The name of the book, let me share that with you properly.
Oh, yeah.
Is Liber Alvailegos. I'm presuming that's not Legos. And it's a hell of a read. So that's cool. So I would just like to say...
I don't know this book.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure Don will be able to message us.
You can shoot me an email with the reference.
I will. Yeah, if you, I will actually.
Thank you.
I will send that across to you after this is ended. I want to thank Romain for joining us. This has been
my pleasure. It's already done already.
Yeah, we've been talking for well over an hour. It's like the first time we said that, we got together, we'd just say we'd chat for about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And over an hour later, we were still talking away and discussing about stuff and so on.
You're such a cool guest, Nick. That's why. Really, really good in your company. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, listen, mate.
That's sincere, pure sincerity.
Thank you very much indeed. And it's totally reciprocated. I look forward to hearing about. You're going to contact me, message me, and let me know all about how you got on with career and so on. And you're going to tell me all about your next projects, and you're going to come on the show again. And I'm sure people will be totally delighted to have you back on the show again. And we've got lots more questions.
I'd love to.
Cool. All right, then. It only remains for me to thank Romain again, for Fernando, who's been sitting there patiently. Paul, Jan.
The audience, really cool.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate the people interventions because they're really pertinent. Paul point about the culture difference was really, really right, and point out something super interesting.
Yep. Okay.
I really enjoyed my time with you. With you all. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. And I would just like to remind everyone to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to this YouTube channel. Come join me next week when we're going to be discussing The Thing, original versus remake. I'm really looking forward to reading the book, watching the 4 films. We'll just be discussing a couple of them. Thank you very much indeed, folks. Good night. Say good night, Romain.
Thank you.
Romain.
Bye. See you later.
Cool, and we should be, as long as my mouse is gone,